Hello, friends. I said I was gonna do a reading of something from our dear friend Richard Horror's book. And I thought it would be more fun if I did it after drinking some alcohol. So, this is my second rum and Beppis because we didn't have any Coke. Ugh. So, Alex specifically, shout out to you, Alex, wanted me to read the incest short story, but it's too long. It's too long. It's a few thousand words. It would probably take me half an hour, and I'm too drunk for that shit. So, I'm gonna read one called Slug, which is like, it reminds me of Guts by Chuck Palahniuk, if you've read that. You can tell Ricky likes Chuck Palahniuk, okay, let's put it that way. But this is like weird sex anecdotes, so, I have to say, of all the short stories in this book, the ones that aren't about weird sex shit or poop are great. But then sometimes he has to write about poop. And it's like, why would you do this to me? I trusted you. Anyway. Everyone thinks sex is so glamorous. They talk about how incredible an eye-rolling orgasm feels. Cosmo says an orgasm should feel like a giant explosion. Why is Ricky reading Cosmo? Something so good that the next few moments of your life are like nirvana. Maybe if Gandhi had had sex instead of starving himself for 6 days, he'd have achieved enlightenment faster. But no one talks about those ugly moments when you shit the bed the first time you tried anal. I have questions. When someone threw up all over your junk because they deep-throated too far. I don't want to talk about it. That whole thing about squeezing your left thumb to suppress your gag reflex. I heard it doesn't even work when you really need it to. I should mention this isn't narrated as Ricky. This is another character, but I cannot help but read it as Ricky writing. Everyone wants to talk about the incredible and the fabulous, but no one wants to be the one to say that sex is dirty and a lot of the time embarrassing. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in the moment that the terrible things we endure don't seem so bad, and then as long as you can look back and laugh about it, it's fine. But sometimes the things that happen are so bad you can't even look back and smile. One time my friend tells me this story about how he finds a VHS tape hidden in his parents' top dresser drawer. At the time he's looking for an old sweatshirt his dad used to paint in. He's rummaging He's rummaging through flannels and pullovers, stirring up his dad's musky polo black, the scent embedded in those clothes, no matter how many times they're washed. His fingers scrape along the rough, unfinished wood at the bottom of the drawer. His hand hits something hard, something long and plastic, near the back right corner. He pulls it out, an unlabeled black VHS that's been hidden there for days or weeks or years. After that, the sweatshirt isn't important anymore. My friend's way more concerned with what's on this tape. So a couple days later, when his mom and dad are at work and he's alone in his bedroom, with his bedroom door locked and his blinds drawn, he slides in the VHS and presses play. Now at the time, my friend is a hormonal horn dog. So when he sees close-up of tits and the camera panning down to show a hard, hot dog, there's not enough alcohol to deal with Ricky using hot dog as a euphemism for penis. Sliding in and out of a bare cavern, he does what any teen would do. He jerks off. My door is open because it's hot in here. So, sorry to my parents if they hear anything. He beats it for a couple minutes and blows his load into a pair of dirty underwear lying on the ground in front of his TV. Afterwards, he rewinds the tape. How many of you are old enough to remember rewinding VHS tapes? And puts it back in his dad's top drawer with all the shirts like nothing ever happened. This is before internet, where porn is free, fuck you, Ricky. It's not free. Pay for your porn, Richard. So this becomes a routine for weeks. When he finally tells his friends at school, they ask, is she hot? And my friend doesn't understand, so he says, who? And they say, the girl in the video. And he's never thought about it until now, because when you're 15, you can jerk off to a women's health magazine, as long as the model's in workout clothes tight enough to show curves. The whole conversation piques my friend's curiosity, and one day he sits down at the edge of the bed, hard as a rock, and he watches. He watches all the way to the end, where he's gonna make me say pole, isn't he? When the camera pulls out and this hard pole in the video finishes shooting out milky white globs all over his mom's face, and she smiles and laughs. My friend doesn't watch the tape again after that, and when his friends ask about it, he says his dad must have moved it somewhere else. When you're in high school, the things you do behind closed doors can ruin you. Make one mistake and you're branded as the kid who jerked off into a sock for life, the kid who fucked a couch. All that ammo and you're asking to get your ass stuffed into a locker until you graduate. The things we do and the things we actually do don't always line up. The things we say we do and the things we actually do don't always line up. You don't go out and tell people you jerked off with a group of your friends. Some things, at least in the short term, are better left unsaid. Another time, my friend from high school is telling me about how he was fucking this girl in her too tiny car. He's sniffing and touching and rubbing his nose from too much coke. In the back seat, he's sprawled out and slouched like he's watching TV on a Saturday morning. His jeans, unbuttoned and unzipped, are pulled down to just above his knees, so you can see his pale thighs and thick brown leg hairs. Why is this... whatever. Her hand is clutching the cotton of his flannel and pushing upward, so his stomach is exposed, outy belly button at her forehead. Why did I decide I was going to read this one? This is the one with the worst dick euphemism. Her lips are tight around his stiff mushroom. I'm going to cry. And they slide up and down, puckered, leaving the glossy sheen. From far away, you can even see the shadow of the back of her brown head bobbing just above the edge of the car's back window. This girl, my friend says, now she could suck a dick. She kisses her way up his stomach, the cool air biting with every wet kiss, stinging at the head of his dick. She moves slow, seductive, and just when she's about to kiss him on the mouth, why is reading so hard right now? He grabs her tiny neck hard enough to leave bruises because his adrenaline is pumping, all that coke and caffeine, and his senses are numbed. In one fluid motion, he flips her over like a 100-pound rag doll and shoves her makeup-caked face down into the musty seat cushion. The silver Pandora charms on her wrists rattle when her naked body hits the back of the seats. Before she has a chance to react, he takes the cotton string, the thin black one that disappears into a short black skirt. Ooh, remember whale tailing? That was such a look. We should bring that back. He slides his hand down to where the triangle starts to expand and pulls the fabric to the side so her wet lips are exposed. She arches her back and he leans forward, right knee on the seats, and left leg straight down at the floor of the car. Her eyes peek back over her shoulder through her bangs and she says, fuck me. He takes his hard, wet stick. Just say cock. I'm begging you, Ricky. Just say cock. Oh my god. Okay. His chin moves around in circles and his lips purse and a white glob drops down onto his shaft. How are you going to make spitting that unsexy? His fingers push the spit around and he rubs himself on her. Her eyes roll up and her head falls back down onto her arms. He thrusts himself in the warm flesh till his sack is touching her pubic bone. And she moans. He pumps his hips, starting slow, and then working up to as fast as hard as he can, and then she's shrieking like a hyena. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh my god. The best car to have sex in is something big, my friend says. Something with a lot of room to spread out. Maybe a minivan or an SUV with fold-up seats. But sometimes you have to make the best of what you got, even if it's a car too small to carry a respectable haul of groceries. The white Honda Civic, dirty and stained from winter salt, sways back and forth until the windows fog. The words he's gonna make me say upset me. Her hands clutch the velvety fabric of the seat as her face grinds into the cushion where a million asses have sat. And it smells like a mix of basement and fart. I'm sweating from laughing. I can't do this. He grabs her hips and shoves violently into her until her head starts hitting the hard plastic of the door. She's still moaning through it. Bam, bam, bam. He's close enough to feel his... My favorite John 5 song, Perennium. John, why do you have a song called Taint? John, explain. I don't even know if I'm pointing at John. I think that's John. I can't fucking see. He's close enough to finish. I'm not reading that word again. Start to tighten, and he pulls out to ram back in for the big finale, but he pulls out a little too far. So the head of his dick just barely passes her threshold. And then he slams in as hard as he can. Only it doesn't go back in. What happens next is he hears a loud pop, and then his dick is on fire. When he looks down, his shaft is bent in half at a 45-degree angle. Before he can say or do anything, it turns blue. She looks over her shoulder, and her makeup is smudged into the seat. A light foundation cheek and a red lipstick mouth open, and black eyeshadow rings where the eyes should be. A ghost trapped in the fabric. She says, "What's wrong?" And then his dick is the size and color of an eggplant. He kneels there in the back of the car, gaping, mouth hanging open, steaming hot air, looking at this thick mass of flesh and blood hanging off his body like a growing squash. He's the fucking Elephant Man. His hands, clammy with agony and nerve, dive into his pockets, searching for his phone. And when she puts her ass down and turns around, her eyes lock onto this swelling purple arm. Oh my god. The phone flips to camera mode, and he takes an aerial shot of his fat, bent slug, because that's the first thing he can think to do. And then he looks at her with his giant coked out pupils and his runny nose. I think I need to go to the hospital. Please excuse me. Okay. There's maybe 2 pages left, so... In the fluorescent lighting, my friend is lying in a thin cotton gown that ties shut from behind. He's got a thin blanket pulled up to the chest, covering the broken tool between his legs. He's pumped full of morphine, and he doesn't really feel anything. The doctor pulls back the shiny white curtain. He walks over with a manila folder in his hairy hand. So what we're looking at here is pretty uncommon. His glasses rest far out on the tip of his giant bird nose. Basically, in your penis, you have a membrane called the tunica albuginea. It fills with blood when you get an erection, and sometimes this membrane can tear. And if or when that happens, blood leaks into the other tissues, which causes the bruising and swelling. The doctor licks his lips and takes a breath. Oh, excuse me. In layman's terms, you fractured your penis. He leans over the railing of the cot. We're gonna need to do a little surgery to expel the blood and then sew everything back up. He throws his left arm up into the air, so the white sleeve of his coat falls back, and then he looks down at his silver and cold watch. He says the surgeon should be in at around 4 a.m., about an hour, and then he goes, "Sound good?" As if my friend has a choice. After the surgery, he wakes up, and his dick is a normal size. A good flaccid 3 inches. The doctor comes into the room again and says everything went great, and asks how my friend is doing, and says, "I have a favor to ask, though. Since this is such an uncommon thing," the doctor says, "I have a group of student interns who I think would be really interested in seeing your case and what we had to do to fix it." The doctor rubs his meaty paws together and looks at the ceiling. "Obviously, I need your consent." My friend, being pretty laid back about everything, and then also a little woozy from the morphine, says, "Sure, whatever." The doctor leaves and comes back about 10 minutes later, pulls back that white curtain, and unveils about 6 of the hottest college girls my friend's ever seen. And they all want to look at his sad stitched dick. Hi, Brittany just texted me. Hi, Brittany. All these gorgeous young doctor chicks hover with their face inches away from his bruised dick, their gloved hands picking it up and turning it to see the point of incision, to see the stitches. My friend, he can feel their hot breath against his meat because the morphine's wearing off. And then he feels pressure, the familiar pang of arousal. He's never had so many girls near his junk at once, poking and prodding and breathing, and right there in front of him, and right there in front of them, he starts to get hard. He's squeezing the sheets and staring at the white ceiling, trying to see the Lord Almighty, trying to think about anything other than what's happening. Thank God they all leave soon after that, he says, because the second that curtain closes, he gets the hardest, most painful boner he's ever had in his life. For 6 weeks after surgery, my friend can't have sex. He can't even jerk off. Every morning he wakes up with a hard-on and cries through his morning piss, trying to keep his knees from buckling because it hurts so bad. And even through all that, those hot college chicks in the hospital, my friend says, was definitely worse than everything else combined. Every time my friend meets someone new, they want him to tell the dick story. And for the rest of his life, my friend is going to have to repeat this event over and over like it's the only thing that defines him as a human. He'll recite every excruciating detail, every embarrassing second of that night, and laugh alongside his friends. Sometimes at home, he'll look at himself in the mirror and only see a broken purple dick. Sometimes the terrible things aren't so bad if you can laugh them off. But sometimes those terrible things, they haunt you so bad you can't even crack a smile. Thank God that's over with. I've been meaning to do that for like 2 months. And I'm sweaty. Anyway, why does he do this to me? I think the worst part of this is like at the end. He says a handful of the stories in this book were inspired from conversations with friends and family. And I'm just like, who broke their dick? Like, which one of these idiots broke his dick? Anyway, you should buy it, even if just to support our boy. Our boy. Okay. I've had too much alcohol. I need to go wash my face and lay down. Okay. Bye.